Okay,
Yes.
we are recording and we are live. Yoo-hoo!
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello.
So hello. And let me see. Okay, we are live. So this is a really big time of celebration. Lots of fun today with just being able to really honor each other and share in the excitement. For some reason, your screen is very, very blurry, Sharon.
Come again?
Your screen is, excuse
Out
me,
of focus.
out of focus. It's a little
Out of
blurry.
focus.
It might be
I'll
the
put my
virtual
glasses
background.
on. How's that? No, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I've got my fairy tale enchanted woods behind me.
Well, before it was the other the interviews, it was clear. So maybe it'll just kind of dissipate and go away.
Well, like I said, I'll
She's
just put my
ethereal.
glasses back on. So
She's ethereal. See, she fits in with the
You
book.
gonna
She's
hear it then?
ethereal.
Oh, that's what I need, huh?
We're seeing her
Camera.
spirit.
Camera.
There we go. We're in focus now, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Did it actually help? I mean, I don't know. Am I still blurry? We're the same. Okay, I don't know. It's
I
just
don't
all
know
that.
either.
It's all that fairy dust. I'm telling you, it's
I
everywhere
think
right now.
put it in.
Being with our authors this morning, 1-on-1 and 2-on-2, and all of us are just basking in this glow, and it's a really special, amazing thing to gift the world such possibility, positivity, and I believe probability. Absolutely.
Well, we have lots of reason to celebrate today, and there's lots going on. The book is in the paperback is now number 8, which is really good in the category for fables and fairy tales. I think it is. And we have, I think, the last time I looked was 23 reviews. So that woohoo!
Yeah,
So that's
wonderful.
really good. It's a time to celebrate and to talk about our chapters and why we decided to participate in something like this, because this is pretty amazing. So I'll start with you, Florine.
Okay.
The Tale in Two Cities. And I see the image you used in the book, that cute little pussy cat. Let's talk
Cindy.
about yes, and let's talk about your chapter and what you hope somebody gains from being able to read your chapter.
Okay. My sister in Colorado had a friend who was in um, a nursing home, and her whole life she wanted a cat, but her husband was allergic to cats. So after her husband passed, she was able to get a cat. So my sister went to a shelter and got Cindy, the cat, for Cindy. And so she took it to her nursing home. However, that relationship only lasted two weeks because Cindy fell and then broke her hip, and then she passed away within a few days.
Mm.
And so Cindy, the woman, named the cat, oh, this is Cindy's cat. So the Cindy name stuck. So my sister, of course, had to take the cat home and you know put it into her family, and so it's the story of Cindy from Dallas, 'cause that's where she's from, Cindy, and her travels from Dallas to Denver, and how she met my sister. Then my sister took her home, and now she's happy in her forever home.
Yeah.
So it's a tale about,
And
I guess,
TAIL, the tail.
Yes.
TAIL. Yes.
and I think it's a tale about resilience, and it's about
Yeah.
her lying on her back so we can rub her tummy. I mean, if you don't put yourself out there, you're not going to get any love. And this cat is just so charming and playful and fun and loving and affectionate. And if you're that way in life, they say we reflect what we see in other people. So
Yes.
we're all mirrors. So if you reject
Oh,
all that positivity and love and, oh, come here, let's be friends, that kind of thing, then that's what you're going to get back. And it's about living in joy. And that's what
yes.
I want to do.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
What you do. You have such beautiful paintings that you do. Your artwork is exquisite. So
Thank you.
you have a lot to be proud of. And as far as our pets, I have 2 dogs, and they're not dogs; they're pogs, or
Right.
and Nick's like, maybe I want to be one because they sure get spoiled.
Yes, she does.
Oh,
There's
Lord,
the
she's
girl.
beautiful.
There's the
Ah,
girl.
she's beautiful.
She's on my lap, otherwise she would squawk. If I ignore her too long, she starts squawking.
Aw. And how about for you, Patricia? What's the name of your chapter?
Journeys through lifetimes.
Very cool. And what is Journeys Through Lifetimes about?
Well, everybody has a place, I think, in life where you do your best thinking, or maybe you tune into yourself the most, but we don't always realize what it is that we're tuning into. And so for me, I've always been intrigued and at peace either by the ocean or in the woods. I don't know why, because I didn't live near, well, I lived in between both growing up, about, an hour each way in between. But um, I always found that when I was there, I listened more. And so for me, it was about exploration of both yourself and the world, because we are all represented in the world in different ways.
Yes.
And I, um, when I first started on this with Sharon, and I know that Jody and Sharon and I had talked, and all of a sudden it came to me about Grace in the woods, and she was alone but didn't feel alone. And she was a character who let herself be comforted by that, where I think sometimes, I could speak for myself, you don't listen to that inner voice sometimes. And so then it became Kalpana was her guide, her, you could call her an angel, there's all different terms, whatever you want to call her. It could be her conscience, it could be her past life. But she was always there with her. They never spoke, they never interacted, except for the fact that Kalpana was there to provide like peace in her own way, which it can be interpreted, I think, many ways by many people. But for me, it's always been about travel and storytelling. That's been the most joy in my life. Besides the normal things people say, like having your pets and kids and stuff like that. I mean, if we're fortunate enough to have those things, those are great. But for me, like the outside thing, the thing that my curiosity, which was really my father and my grandparents, really encouraged my curiosity. And so, starting with stories in books, and then I was always the one kid in the room that stayed with the older people. Instead of rolling my eyes, I wanted to know more. I wanted to know more about, well, what happened then, even when I'd heard that story, like my kids are starting to do with mine now 50 times, and they start kind of like, but I always felt that it was the story keepers in the world that were important. And then seeing family members that had been fortunate enough to travel, that's the one thing I always wanted to do, was travel. And in the beginning, it was just to the mountains or camping. My family, we never went anywhere exotic. But when I look back at whether their friends did, they never got to go camping and spend like 2 weeks alone with their parents someplace and enjoy it. It
Mm.
was, every now and then some of the driving thing the parents kind of got together, but we always had fun. And my dad encouraged us to, name trees and do different things. So anyway, that's what it came about. It kind of tied in with, that's why I love to travel. I love to read, and I've always liked to write. This is the first time since I was a kid, though, that I wrote anything that was fiction based.
Mm.
And it was kind of exciting for me because I think I found like a storyline, and I couldn't cut it into the one chapter. So kind of like the way I talk, right?
I love it. I love it. You have that gift. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I
really
kiss the Blarney Stone. Everybody needs to go there and do that.
Yeah. The redwoods are my spot. And when I go there, I'm just I
Can't you
did
just cry sometimes when you
yeah,
see it?
it's overwhelming. Yes, it's very, for me, it's just I could sit out there. I take all the trails, and I can just sit on one of the benches and just be totally at peace. I'm just it's like that's my happy spot. And I
Me
do love
too.
tourism too. So I know, and camping is one of those things that have been always amazing for me. Just what I enjoy the most, the quiet, you know.
And the thing is that I found that when I was in the redwood forest, especially up in Northern California, there's an area that has all these ferns that grow
Mhm.
in the middle under the redwood trees. And I mean, it's like the most imaginative drawing you've ever seen. And when I was a kid, I could really believe that there was like fairies or little, individuals or some type of life underneath all of that, because
Yeah.
you heard the brook babbling and you could hear the wind. And if you have enough imagination and too much time on your hand, the wind can talk to you too. So,
Beautiful.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I spent when I was raising my girls, I was a single mom, and every February we would go way out west on the desert, and had a camp trailer, and that's what we would do for 2 weeks. We would camp out every February, and we had some of the best times. We would go searching for rocks. They were homeschooled, so we had the opportunity. We could do those kind of things, and they would. One year I even hauled out the piano on a little
yeah.
trailer because they had a piano recital coming up, and the music teacher was mad at me because they needed more practice. I said they'll be ready, and they would play Bach and Beethoven on the back of the trailer in the middle of the desert, out camping. It was so much fun.
Oh, that is amazing. That's great.
It was really truly fun. Jody, share with us your chapter.
Yes, well, my chapter is The Nightbird and the Three Angels. And when Sharon asked if I would do a fairy tale, I thought, I don't know. How do I write a fairy tale? Well, it's really the story of my life put in a fairy tale form. And it was really so cool to write because I can share it with my children, and my grandchildren will read it someday. And the three angels were really my imaginary friends that I had as a child. And so the imaginary friends, really angels, take me, my character, Justice Sage, through a journey of her life. She flies over in the woods and with these three little angels that have been with her all her life. And they show her the different points of her life and what she will be doing. And so it was just amazing because I loved doing this because I didn't know that I had written that these people, these children that I can remember their names, but I couldn't remember their faces. My mother always said, they're your imaginary friends. And a very, very wise, intuitive, psychic friend of mine years later said, no, these were angels, because children do see
They do.
angels, and they there's impression, and they see things, and I've since seen some things. So in the story, the most beautiful part of it is one day I think I met an angel after my daughter passed away many years ago, and the meeting this man, but I think he was an angel, changed my life. His comforting words, and I've written about it in many things about that, but never in a fairy tale. And so I believe fairy tales do come true, like Sharon. Beautiful story. And I believe this is very healing to write this beautiful story for me and to read all of your stories. It's very calming and beautiful in this troubled world right now. It brings hope and peace.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Jody, can you talk to us a little bit about your Mystic Bay series? Because
Oh,
Jody's an
sure.
author of how many? 8 books to date, and an award-winning author, voted by 40,000 journalists, her peers, last summer of Best Award. And so yes, could you share a little bit of that with us?
Yeah, okay, I'll try to be brief, but I wanted to write about grief. And after I met this angel, it took several years. I got rejected from a magazine, and I thought, well, I'm going to write a novel about angels that live as humans. And so my son was sitting with me, and he's a writer. This was years ago, and I said, well, I got to make up a town. And so we came up with Mystic Bay. because I love Half Moon Bay in California, which I know a lot of you know. And I thought, well, I'm going to make a town where angels live as humans and nobody knows the secret. But they interact and they guide, and there's storylines, different characters, many different characters, and it's been the most healing thing I've ever done. And I was shocked when I won that, because I applied, but I thought, you know, and so that was shocking to me, but it was fabulous.
Affirmations. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really great. I mean, so now I'm writing another one, and I hope, you know, so it puts me in a place where I have to make it as good as that one. So I don't know, somebody another Christmas.
It'll be beautiful.
So we'll see, but I put Sharon is in one of my books as well, and Jordana is patterned after dear Sharon. I might have to put all in the books. Never know what you're going to come in. I put Karen in the book, Florrie.
Yes.
You know, so I just, you know, I love writing, and I do believe it's my therapy. It's so healing, and it's healing to read and to read other people's works. And I always loved to read and wrote little stories, but I had low self-esteem. So if you ever told me that I would be a writer, I would never have believed it.
You said, no, I will
You
not.
know.
Now you are.
And I love it.
Beautiful.
Pleasure.
So why is using our imagination so vital and healthy for us?
Well, I know one thing is that Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge.
True.
And to dream, I believe thoughts have power, and dreaming and imagination has power. And if we can imagine the world a better place, that's powerful, and that is our imagination working.
How do you feel about that, Lori?
Well, I have to get up and create every day, and it requires a lot of courage because not everyone is going to connect with your work. But when you do, when people just reach out and love what you're doing, it's life enhancing. So I know I'm on the right path.
Right.
So
Beautiful. And for you, Patricia, you've mentioned, you know, the imagination and be able to be in the mountains and imagining the fairy tales. Why do you feel that's healthy?
I think sometimes escapism, as much as a negativity, sometimes is great, because when you have escapism through that way, through imagination, what it does is it finds things that you may have actually received knowledge in some way about, whether it was intuitive, whether it was through a book, whether it was through sight, sound, whatever, and you're able to interpret it. I think that's the reason why books continue to be such a great asset in the world, is because the fact that you can read a book, I can read a book, we can read a book, and we may visualize things a little bit different. No matter how intense the characters are and how they're graded and described, we still see them in our own way. I think that a point of that is we've all had like a novel or something we really loved, and we imagine some person playing it, and then they get the person to play it, and you go, what? Where'd that come from? But then you end up, because the story is either so good that you forget that,
Yeah.
or the story wasn't as good as you thought. It was your imagination that made it better. And so I think that imagination, I mean, if you think about people like Edison, you know, Michelangelo, a lot of the greats in the world, people that have done things, they have an imagination to make it happen. So whatever it is that happens for us, I think imagination is a bigger key than anything else. It allows us to have interest about spirituality, about places, people, different things that happen. Science. I don't have that gene. I wish I did. But I think that imagination, to me, if you don't have imagination some way, that's one of the reasons why I was a single mom of two boys for a long time. And I raised my kids around books. I mean, when I came home from work, I was usually too exhausted to do anything. And we would take to the bookstore, because sometimes when we lived places, there wasn't a library really close by. But we would have books, and we would all get together on my bed or on the sofa, and everybody would read a book. I said, okay, read for 45 minutes, and then we'll have dinner. And one of my sons still is a voracious reader. The other one likes to read, but his interests go in a different way. So,
Can you talk about that with your son? Excuse me for interrupting, but he is an Imaginist. Both of them are. That what the seeds that you were able to sow in their minds and hearts.
well, one of the things, like both of them like experience things in different ways. Like my youngest one, mainly probably because he's single, he loves to travel, and he travels a lot, and he got that gene through family, genetic. My other son I like to more, but he has a really wonderful, extraordinary life that there's something she likes to do and I'm not, and so they choose to do things together. Like, they don't even have any small children anymore, but they're active scouts. They try and instill that type of imagination and respect for nature things in the boys that they're around. And so each one of them has had the opportunity to pursue their passion on the way. Like my youngest son worked for university for a long time. He worked for another resource, and he had a really good job. And he decided to change direction. He wanted to. So on a whim, when he was waiting to go on a job interview part-time at Disney, and he's been there 20 years now, and he's a project manager for a lot of the new attractions he for. And he has a vision and a feeling for it, because he believes in not such a commercialism of Disney, because everybody gives it a bad rap. But I really truly believe he kind of channels some of it in him, as far as like the vision. I've been with him where he'll walk a piece of paper, and it's not his job, but he'll pick up a piece of paper off the ground, put it in a trash can. And my other son will do the same thing with the forest. So, and it's because of stories that they have along the way. They both have some common things they like to read. They're both were into. One was more Star Trek, and one more Star Wars. And they do things. But I think that when you talk to them, what they liked about that was the possibility. You look at the lessons in, like, especially Star Trek. Possibilities, and the sometimes there's life lessons there if you're looking past all the special effects. Anyway, yeah, my boys are both, and my oldest grandson, and my granddaughter like to read too. Not that the other ones don't, but there's more books.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And just a note of trivia, Mickey Mouse and I had the same birthday. He